event starts, I would like to invite the guests to get ready as the event will begin soon. Say Bismillah together. Let us start our program tonight with Ummul Kitab Al-Fatihah. Assalamualaikum and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nurul Khadijah binti Roslan. It's a precious chance for me to be your moderator on this very special talk, which is Mental Health Talk, Islamic Way of Healing. In conjunction with World Mental Health Week 2022, organized by Sakta IIUM, in collaboration with KUSA IIUM, POSA IIUM, Hisparium IIUM, and Medcare Association. First of all, praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who has given us guidance, happiness, health and mercy so we can attend and participate in this special event very respectfully. Praise and salutation upon our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam who had brought us to the path of light from the darkness in this life. I also take this opportunity for all of us to renew our attention attending this program. Let us seek for Allah's pleasure and gain beneficial knowledge, not for star point or any other unbeneficial or unnecessary objective. I believe that everyone is well informed about our speakers today, as both of them are very experts and well known in their field. First, Madam Nurul Amelia Diana binti Abdul Malik is a lecturer of Center of Foundation Studies, CFS, IIUM Gambang. She had a bachelor degree in human science majoring in communication in IIUM and pursued her master degree in educational psychology in UPM. Currently working on her PhD journey at IIUM. Next, Associate Professor Dr. Raudatul Firdaus binti Fatah Yassin. She obtained her first degree in Usuluddin Tafsir from Al-Azhar University, Egypt in 2001. She pursued her studies in the same specialization and completed her master's coursework at Insania Kedah, which is recently known as Unishams in 2003. She got her second master's program at the International Islamic University Malaysia and graduated in 2006 in Quran and Sunnah study. She is also a PhD holder from the same department and university in 2012. So, now we are going to listen to many fruitful points from both of our great speakers regarding mental health, Islamic way of healing. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this talk will be divided into two separate sessions. First session will be delivered by my Madam Amelia within 40 minutes, while the second speakers by Dr. Raudah will be conducted after that within the same allocated time. So without further ado, I think our attendees today are very excited to listen to our sharing. Let us begin our first session from Madam Amelia. Okay. Madam Amelia, okay. Mental problems are not something new in our society nowadays. However, there are still many among us who cannot accept its existence. Even though some of them may be facing this disease, but they tend to deny it, and this is very worrying. My question is, what does this mental health really means in a proper way so that everyone can get a clear picture of it? Okay. Please.
All right. Thank you, Sister Nurul Khadijah Roslan, for the wonderful questions received. As usual, before we start, to discuss what mental health in general is, we should basically define what mental health is. So mental health can be defined as, it can be defined in many ways. It's just that mental health will specifically affect one's our thoughts, our mental, and then our emotions and our act. Macam tu. For normal people, we will think, we will feel, and we will act in normal way. But to those who are experiencing kind of mental health illnesses, they will think, they will feel, and they will act differently. Okay, so how different is different, madam? Yes, I have to say that mental health is quite challenging for us to identify who is experiencing mental illnesses, who is under stress or depression, because they are all unseen. Unlike physical injury, mental health, they are all unseen. However, we can sense them. Macam tu. We might not be able to see them, but we can sense them. How to sense, madam? Okay. One thing when we talk about ourselves, we can literally sense our mental states, our mental health states by observing our own actions. by observing our own behavior, by observing our own way of thinking. Macam tu. Another thing of it adalah another perspective that we can look at to identify whether or not we are mentally healthy is the way we think and the way we look at our life. Okay. For normal people, all right, for normal people, many of us lah, like many of us, those who have kind of normal life, we will have difficulty in life tau. Buat assignment susah, jumpa kawan susah, family susah, for example. So those struggles, it will make us feel kind of stressful or sad, but it is yet mental illnesses. Nampak tak? Those are all acceptable level of stress. Those are all acceptable factor of stress because we are human and we are normal human being. Okay. But then again, those stress are normal at the beginning. The untreated stress, unsolved stress, stress 1 combined with stress 2, combined with stress 3, combined with stress 4. Once it reach a certain level, then it will make someone feel burnt out. Then when someone start to feel burnt out, that is when he or she started to do something yang unacceptable. Then only he or she started to think about doing things that is unacceptable. For example, how does it feel jump, how if I from the 3rd floor or from the 4th floor of the mahalla. So, my dear students, brothers and sisters, the moment you guys have such unaccepted thoughts, such unacceptable ataupun abnormal thoughts, that is an indicator that something is not well happening to you. Macam tu. So the moment you start to have, those abnormal thoughts together with those abnormal feeling, and then you act differently, that is when you should seek for help. Those are all the indicator telling that something is not right with my mental health. Macam tu. My mental health is not fit. I no longer feel happy. I no longer feel I feel like I'm kind of lost. Benda-benda macam tu lah. We call it as hopelessness. The moment we feel hopeless with life, all right, the moment we feel hopeless with certain things that we are dealing with, that is when we should seek for help. So to conclude what mental health is, we should always observe our ability to think normally, our ability to feel normally in a normal way, and also to act in a normal way. The moment we start to think abnormally, think something ridiculous, the moment we feel something nonsense, and what more, the moment we act in such unacceptable manners, that is when we need to look and seek for help. That way is for ourselves. However, we may also look to act, we may also look around in our circle. Because when we live on earth, it's not about we and our own self, rather, we and our community. We should also look at our fellow friends. We should also look at our roommates. Well, probably we are all good, alhamdulillah. But how about our roommates? So better what to look at, madam? Again, look the way they think. Madam, how are we going to know what goes in their mind? Correct. But brothers and sisters, don't forget, most of the thing that goes in our mind, it will be illustrated and reflected through our action. Nampak tak? So the moment we hear our roommate say something ridiculous, the moment we look or we see our roommate do or act in such abnormal way, it is also an indicator that he or she might experiencing or struggling with mental health. Yes. Okay. So ingat the 3 things: the way we think, the way we feel, and the way we act. Most obvious one, the way people act. The moment we start to act differently, or the moment our roommate, our friends start to act differently, probably it is an indicator. So all we need to do is to observe and be alert with ourselves and our surrounding. Yes.
Oh, thank you so much for the precise answer, madam. So after knowing what mental health really is in the academic way, my next question is, why is it important to protect our mental health? Please, madam.
Okay, thank you very much. This question is kind of practical question. So I think I will answer this question based on 2 perspectives. Perspective 1 is from our personal life, personal development perspective, and perspective 2 from education perspective. Okay, so why is it mental health is important to protect? Obviously, it is important because, as I said earlier, mental health is closely related with the way we think, the way we feel, and the way we act. If we feel to protect our mental health, mean to say we are going to fail to think properly, to feel appropriately, and to act in acceptable manner. So the moment we feel those things and those three things, how are we going to be a normal human being? Nampak tak? That is why mental health is very much important. Okay, talking about personal development. All right. Mental health will prevent us from think normally. When mental health prevent us from think normally, it will also prevent us from act normally. Okay, the moment we act abnormally, do you think there will be people who wanted to be friend with us? No. The moment we start to act abnormally, that is when we will go to another level of life, which is isolation. We tend to isolate ourselves because we feel that people can't accept us. Why? Because of our weird way of action. Sama macam tu. So yeah, in conclusion, mental health is important because it will affect our self-development. Okay, madam. Second part, academically. I have the experience, dealing with students who are experiencing kind of mental illness concern. And I observe many of them, they tend to isolate themselves. As I said earlier, isolation. Mental health will eventually make us try to isolate ourselves. Why? Because we are not confident to mix with people. Because we are not confident that people can accept us. Also, we can't afford to receive responsibility ataupun pressure and pressure and pressure and pressure. Hence why many people who are struggling with mental health issue, they tend to isolate themselves, so that with the idea that if I avoid people, I can avoid problem. Nampak? That is why they tend to isolate themselves. They tend to lock themselves in room so that they can avoid people from and also they can avoid from getting more trouble. Nampak? That is how mental health issue will affect one's development. Okay, talking about education perspective, I observe many of my students who are experiencing ataupun who are struggling with mental illness ataupun mental health concern, they tend to miss their class quite often. Obviously, they feel demotivated. They feel hopelessness. Hopelessness is the most crucial one lah. It's dangerous as well. Because if people feel like, oh, there is no point, there is no more point to live on earth. Why should I pray? God will never forgive me because I'm now crazy. Ataupun my parents are no longer in love with me. They don't bother me any longer. So those mental thoughts, nampak tak? Those abnormal mental thoughts will slowly, gradually, yet surely kill us from inside. Hence why mental health is very much important. Okay. Another thing is that from academic perspective, those who are struggling with mental health, and once you reach the level of certain level, the dangerous one perhaps, the risk one, right, the higher risk one perhaps. So usually these students ataupun these patients, these people will be sent to psychiatric clinic. All right, they will be evaluated and they will be treated by those psychiatric doctor. So the moment they undergo ataupun they classify as psychiatric patient, they will be supplied with medication. The moment you take psychiatric medication, it will be another things for you. It will provide you with another kind of life experience. So from my experience, having a conversation with my mental health, my students who are struggling with mental issues, they told me, madam, every time when I took the medicine, when I consume the medicine, I will feel sleepy. I would love to sleep. Nampak tak? So when they love to sleep, when they want to sleep, they obviously will miss their classes, and they will obviously miss lectures, miss class discussion, miss assignment and all. So yeah, that is why mental health is very much it is important to be protected from the very beginning, so that our personal well-being can be safe. It will not jeopardize our education. It will not jeopardize our classes and all. Yes.
Thank you so much, Media. So don't isolate yourself. Okay. Okay. Third question is, could you share with us any of your experience dealing with people with mental health problems, please, Media? Any experience?
All right. I have literally shared very simple story related to my students and their symptoms as the one who are struggling with mental issue. So I would like to share tonight with my students, brothers and sisters. I previously had this one student of mine. She's my student. She was in my class. She went to the class and she looked at me. The way she looked at me, it was kind of emotionless, orang cakap face. Macam tu. And then she went to the class, but she never responded. Okay, she never responded to any of the questions, and she never participated in any discussion had in class. And then she isolated herself, obviously. She has no friends. From my observation, lah, she loved to be alone. Okay, every time we bump into one another, she will always be alone at all time. And then she looks sad. Ah, and then many other symptoms. Okay, so whenever I had, however, this particular student, and I personally respect and appreciate her because despite of her condition, who are struggling with mental health issue, she still looked after me for a class consultation. Nampak tak? So that is the moment and the opportunity that I had for me to talk to her on personal basis, so that I can understand, for me to understand her situation better. So you know what, my dear students, this particular student of mine is experiencing schizophrenia. You know, schizophrenia, they hallucinates. They hallucinate. So this particular student of mine, she often experience the thoughts, thinking that people are coming after her, people want to kill her, and then she run. Hence why she tend to be isolated. She loves to be alone, so that when her hallucinations comes in, okay, when those people want to kill her, she can directly run and save herself without have to thinking about the safety of her friends. Nampak tak? Because she's aware that such mental thoughts is only experiencing by her, not by many of her friends. Macam tu. So she said, when I am alone, madam, it will be easier for me to rescue myself. It will be easier for me to save myself. I don't have to think about the safety of my fellow friends. Yeah, that is one of the example of my very own student who experiencing schizophrenia. On top of that, she often missed the class as well. Macam biasa lah, because she was on medication. And schizophrenic meds, I can say, is kind of strong meds, because every time my student consume that med, she will be kind of macam mamai, you faham tak? Macam tu. So every time she consume the meds, she tend to miss the class in the next morning. Macam tu. So that is one example. Another one example of my students who is also struggling with mental health issue. This particular student, I met her in the past 2 years, quite recent, past 2 years. She also my student. She used to be in my class. And one thing that I noticed about her is that she came to the class one time and she missed from the class for 2 times. And then she comes again and then she missed again. Meaning to say her attendance lah, basically her class attendance is poor. And that attracts me to understand her situation. What is happening to this particular student that make her to have such poor attendance kan? So one day I call her. We had kind of face-to-face, one-to-one consultation. So I asked her that may I know what is the struggle that you face in your life currently, because your attendance in class is kind of is a concern to me lah, so that I need to understand, so that I can help you if you need any help. So she told me that she was diagnosed with depression. And then she felt helpless. She feel like nobody in this world want to be friend with her. There is nobody want to be friend with her that is crazy. She often called herself as crazy. Brothers and sisters, if let's say lah one day can you experiencing kind of mental health concern and you were sent to psychiatric clinic, you are undergoing psychiatric appointment, bear in mind, my dear students, you are yet crazy. No, crazy is just another level of mental health concern, mental health issue. Went for the appointment, and then on medication. They just try to help you to be normal. They just try to help you to feel better and healthy. You are yet crazy. So don't ever you call yourself that I am now psychiatric patient, I am now crazy. No, you're not. You're not. Okay? So this particular students, she told herself, she often told herself that I am now crazy, madam. I'm a psychiatric patient. Nobody wants to be friend with me. Nampak tak? Such abnormal mental thoughts is affecting her. See? So then I asked her, okay, if you have such, what made you think that you are crazy? Oh, because I am now psychiatric patient, and so I think nobody wants to be friend with me. That is one abnormal mental thoughts. Okay? So after further discussion and further consultation, then I asked, what is the cause factor that made you have negative thoughts in you? And she told me when she was at school last time, she was bullied. She was bullied back then in her school life, and she was traumatized by that particular incident. She was shamed, she was embarrassed in front of her schoolmates, in front of her friends. She was bullied in such unexpected, orang cakap, dia cakap benda yang tak dijangka lah, madam. I feel trauma, saya malu. So those things make me feel insecure to make friends with people. I'm afraid they will treat me just the way I was treated. Macam tu. So to answer Sister Nur Khadijah Firuzkan's question, those are the two stories about my very own students who are struggling with mental health issue. And we can see the factors that lead to such mental health concern to these two students, the cause factors that are different. One is because self-taught. Second is about bully. Nampak tak? Hence why bully is very much important for us to prevent and avoid from happens from the very beginning. Macam tu. So because mental health ni, once an individual struggle with mental health, once an individual diagnosed with certain kind of mental health illnesses, it will take such a longer time for a person to improve, and then to be healthy and to be back like normal, ataupun to finish her treatment plan. Why? Because we are dealing with mental thoughts. Mental thought is something that is complicated. Even me myself, I don't really understand why do I did certain things in certain way macam tu. Tapi untuk people with mental health ni, it is not only their mind yang affected tau, but the way they feel. Most of the mental illness punya patient, they tend to, macam I cakap tadi lah, the way they think, the way they feel, and the way they act, they are all affecting one another, and it will affect his or her life. So he will think differently, they will feel differently, they will act differently, they will become more sensitive, more fragile, they will act in a way that we never expect them to act. Macam tu. Hence why we should always look on our mental health before it's too late. Macam tu. So macam I cakap tadi, observe the way we think, whether it is normal or not, the way we feel, the feeling is appropriate or not at a particular situation, and also the way we act. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Jazakallah khairan, madam. That's a new knowledge for me actually. Okay, for the videos, thank you. Should anyone has any inquiry, you may hold your question first or just type in the chat box. But attention to all. Yes, this call is about to end because now Google Meet is restricted for only 1 hour. So now we are going to another link that given in the chat box and also group. So now we end first, okay? Okay, thank you. in the chat box for start point purpose. Okay, moving on to the next speaker, which is Dr. Raudatul Firdaus. So, where is Doctor? Dr. Raudatul Firdaus, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
So, Doctor, it is believed that Islam is a shumul or comprehensive religion which encompasses every aspect of our life. From what Madam Amy has shared just now, mental health has been perceived to be real and the stage of worrying now. Everyone should protect themselves from this disease. So my question, doctor, as a Muslim, how do we look into illnesses as a pleasure, ibadah, and invest or profitable trading in this life? Please, doctor.
Okay, A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin wa bihi nasta'in wa ala rasulil huda waddin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in amma ba'd. First of all, I would like to express my gratitude and thanks to the organizer for inviting me for this special program. And Alhamdulillah, maybe among the earliest being conducted in this semester in conjunction with the mental health issues, which is really a crucial need for everyone to understand further and to comprehend further so that we can equip ourselves with the best preparation suitable to face the current situations and the current program of mental challenges, mental health challenges nowadays, Alhamdulillah. And thank you to our moderator, respectful panelists, the first speaker, Madam Nurul Emilia. I've learned a lot from your slot just now. And also our beloved main board, as well as the committee member of the COSA, and those who attended our programs through Google Meet tonight, as well as those who are watching from the Facebook Live at COSA IIUM. Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaban bikum, and assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alright, I'm trying to share the screen, but I am not sure what is the real issue with our Google Meet, that until now I am unable to open the screen, which I believe would be very beneficial for all of us, inshallah, especially myself, so that we can take a good look into the situation, into the discussion from an Islamic worldview, in which I'm not claiming to be able to cover comprehensively this topic from all dimensions of Islamic perspective, because it is very wide and very huge topic. It requires months, weeks, days to cover everything. But I'll be trying, inshallah, to at least respond to questions being addressed by our moderator from the Quranic worldview, especially. May it benefit us, inshallah, part or partially. Okay, can you see the screen right now?
Yes, madam.
Alhamdulillah. Yes. Okay, so when we go to the first question, it's about how do we look into illness as a pleasure, ibadah, and investments for a profitable trading in this life. To answer this question, maybe I would like to drag our attention that the Islamic way of healing in any kinds of diseases, whether it is the physical or non-physical diseases, which include the mental illness, which is substantial, but it is untouchable, it is unseen, it is considered as among the ghaibiyat, is the way that Islam will look into the root of the problem. So the solution will always be offered by looking and by knowing, identifying the reasons that contribute to certain diseases to happen, or that contribute to certain situation to be affecting one's life, including the mental health issues. So in my answer, inshallah, in my response, we'll be looking into that aspect, because the root of the issues in our daily life will basically goes into the heart, the qalb in Arabic language, as well as the aql, which both of them are located at the soul. The soul is the second entity of the human body. As we are all aware that human body consists of the physical, and the mental. The mental is part of the soul. The soul is the energy that provide to the body so that the body will stay alive. Without the soul, we are not going to stay alive, isn't it? So in the soul itself, there are several parts, which we call it as what I mentioned earlier, qalb, aql, mental. It also includes the nafs. This is what we call in Malay as jiwa, the desires, the shahawat, and many aspects. So in Islamic way of healing, we are actually recommended to learn and to identify, to be able to define each and every single entity that exists within our own soul. By knowing them, then we will know ourselves. And by knowing ourselves, then inshallah we will understand our Lord Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And all these are actually under the category of the unseen entities, the ghaibiyat. But ghaibiyat is part of the arkanul iman, the pillars of iman. The six entities in the pillars of iman are all ghaibiyat. So in order to discuss about Islamic way of healing, we get to know each and every single part, then identify each and every single problems, then acknowledge or discover what are among the solutions being proposed and being offered in the Quran, divine revelation, as well as the Prophet's hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So here, when we go to the first question, I would touch a little bit on the illness which involve both aspects, the physical illness and also the mental illness, because both of them are actually interrelated. A person might begin their illness with the mental first, then it affected the physical. Or in another situations, a person might be tested with a physical illness, which later on affected the mental health. So here we can conclude some points which I have taken from the guidance provided in the Message for the Sick by Imam Badi' Zaman Sa'isi from the collection of Rasail An-Nur, and it is a tafsir ishari and ma'nawi from the Quran. Here, I will only take around 5 to 6 points that we can share here, although altogether there are actually 25 tips on how to look into illness as a pleasure, as a ibadah, as an investment for profitable trading in this life as well as in the hereafter. So with the time limitation, we'll begin with number 1. That is actually life departs like capital. We are living in this world. We are actually making a business, and we have been given the capital by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that capital is the life itself. So if the capital doesn't yield any fruit, it means it is wasted. And if that capital passes, that life passes in ease and heedlessness or in ignorance, it passes swiftly, very fast. We don't feel even the time passed and flew very fast. It left us. Illness, sickness makes the capital of yours yield huge profits. Moreover, it does not allow your life to pass quickly. It restrains it and lengthens it so that it will depart after yielding its fruits, an indication that your life is lengthened through illness. Dear brothers and sisters, if we realize when we are sick, we will feel like the time passed very slow, isn't it? But when we are healthy, when we are happy, when we are excited, we feel that the time flew very fast. And we are not satisfied to enjoy that beautiful moments. When we are sick, we feel like every single minute goes very, very slow. Actually, that is a good profit, that the good capital that Allah have provided us, so that every single minute that goes very slow can be utilized for us to pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that we can be given the shifa. It can be used for us to be patient with the kind of sickness that we are facing, so that all the seconds and the minutes that we are going through are being rewarded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that rewards is actually the profits. Though we might not see that profits in this world, because we cannot see our book of record about our sinful acts or about the rewards that has been written for us, we might not see that. But having this remembrance, having this reminder will at least satisfy or provide us with a kind of happiness by looking into the sickness that we are suffering right now, that it is actually an extra capital being rewarded by the Lord for all of us, so that our times will flow very slowly. It will yield more fruits, more rewards from Allah the Almighty. The second point is that illness may transform each of the minutes of our life into the equivalent of an hour's worship. Normally, if you want to spend 1 hour worship, we have to struggle a lot, isn't it? Who has the patience to sit on the sajadah, for example, for 1 whole hour? It's except in the month of Ramadan during Taraweeh, and yet not everyone can perform the whole Taraweeh patiently. For worship is of two kinds, actually, dear brothers and sisters. The first kind of worship, what we call it as a positive worship, like the well-known worship of supplication and the 5 daily prayers, where you have to perform it. You have to stand up, you have to take wudu, you have to read, you have to recite, and everything. This is a positive, well-known worship. The other one, which we call it actually not negative, it means passive actually. The passive forms of worship, like the illness and calamities. Why we call it as a worship? Why we are facing an illness right now? Why is it called as worship? Because while having this illness, while suffering from this illness and calamities, we are struggling to be patient. We are trying to revive with that difficult situations. And this revival, this patience, is actually being considered as an ibadah, which means that we are being rewarded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when you might be asking, Ustazah, this is for the hereafter. What about the benefit that we can gain in this world? Actually, brothers and sisters, when we are in the form of ibadah, there will be a sweetness, there will be a pleasure which will come into our heart, a peaceful mind, whereby we feel calm, we feel happy, we feel relaxed, though we are in that situation of difficulties. That means that our ibadah has been accepted by Allah as long as we have rida. Okay? And then point number three, how to make and how to look into the illness as a pleasure is by considering that the capital given to man in his lifetime had there been no illness, we know that our lifetime is actually the capital given by Allah, and everyone are given the same capital, that is 24 hours per day. Um, and nobody has more than 24 hours, or nobody has less than 24 hours. The capital are all equivalent. Unfortunately, with the natural desire of human being, people tend to be heedlessness. People tend to forget. People tend to have fun all the time without even considering our main role as an Abdullah, as a Khalifa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therefore, for certain situations, even and in most of the situation, good health, no illness, well-being, or richness could have caused heedlessness. For they show the world to be pleasant and make the hereafter forgotten. They do not want death and the grave to be thought of. They cause the capital of life to be wasted on trifles. We can see people who dare to commit wrongdoings, who dare to commit sinful acts, knowing that it is forbidden in the religion. And when we ask them, or when we try to remind them, brothers, sister, this is not allowed in our religion, they might tend to say that we have different grave. I mean, we are not going to share the same grave. Don't bother my business, or something like that, which actually indicating a kind of heedlessness, a kind of being forgetting about the reality of the hereafter, which is actually in fact a real true reality that's going to happen, and nobody can run away from it. This is a result of the heedlessness, brothers and sisters. And you can see the Pharaoh himself. How could he claim himself as a god, though he had the whole physical function as a human being? Because it was recorded that among the I mean, what do we call it? The strength that Pharaoh has is actually he never got sick at all. Even if he got simple sickness, he get a very high, sophisticated level of medical system during that time. Yeah, if I would like to share about this, it will be a very long stories, but Pharaonic time was known to be a very luxurious life in which he himself can sustain his health and did not even get sick at all. And that has caused him to claim himself as a god. Number 4, the sick will begin to think of the hereafter more than other young people. For example, most of us are young here, except me, myself. Maybe I'm the oldest one right now, so as compared to all of you. So young people tend to enjoy their youth, isn't it? And sometimes it comes to the extent that they will start to forget about the hereafter. The drunkenness of youth means that they are too much enjoying their youth and have renounced to an extent animal desires and heedlessness. Unfortunately, we can see that most of the crimes being committed, most of those in the rehabilitation centers are among the youth. These are the evidences that they have been drunken with the pleasures of the youth. And when people become sick, then they started to feel like, oh no, I'm young, but I feel sick. So this sickness will lead us to remember that one day we might die. We might even die without having going through the elderly or senior citizens age. We can die at any time, isn't it? So through the illness and sickness, it reminds us that we should be ready that death is always there and we don't know we are going to pass away. So this illness and this sickness will actually bring happiness into our iman, because we will then remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves me. Allah wants to remind me about the real life in the hereafter. Allah gave me this sickness. Alhamdulillah. And then point number 5 is that illness utters this warning to us, which means that illness is trying to convey a message to our body. What is that message? Your body is not composed of stone and iron, but of various materials which are ever disposed to parting. Leave off your pride, brothers and sisters. Perceive your importance. Recognize your honor, that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Know your duties, that is Abdullah, slave of Allah, and Khalifatullah, the viceroy of Allah. Learn why you came to this world. Why are we here? Why we are being sent here by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Is it of no reason? Of course, no. We have reasons, we have responsibilities. And sometimes when people did not face this challenge of illness, they will not realize of these responsibilities. Alhamdulillah, with this kind of illness, it will actually lead us to remember and to recall back on the origin and the reason of our existence in this life, so that we can re-strategize what we are going to do to ensure that we will be among the successful people in the hereafter. So I hope I have answered the first question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Doctor. Actually, your answer is very wonderful. Okay, so the second answer is, in Islam there are diseases of the heart. So how is it said that these disease of heart are related to mental health problem in Islam? Okay, please start there. Doctor, we do not listen to your voice.
Can you see the screen?
Yes, yes.
Okay, Alhamdulillah. So now I'm sharing the screen to respond to the second question. What is the relationship between mental illness and the diseases of the heart? So I'm not specialized in psychology, but what I have learned about the mental health and those related to the substantial entity of the human bodies, which I have mentioned earlier in the definition during the earlier session of this slot. So what I can share here is the relationship between the mental illness and the diseases of the heart from the Quranic perspective. Although, once again, I am not claiming this to be comprehensive, because there are so many diseases being highlighted in the divine revelation related to the heart of the human being, which is referring to the unseen diseases and not the physical diseases. So I'm not talking about the heart disease that we go to the hospital and get some treatment and medication from the doctors. But I'm talking about the diseases of the heart, which is mentioned in the knowledge related to tazkiyatun nafs, the purification of the soul, as the amradul qulub in Arabic language. Amrad is the plural of marab. Al-qulub is the plural of the heart. So actually in Islam, alhamdulillah, due to the guidance from the divine revelation, there is a comprehensive and extensive discussion which introduce us about this kind of diseases, which is plural in nature, which means there are many. However, we'll try to touch some of them within this limited situation and relate it with the mental illness. So let's take a look, very quick look. Although the speaker before me has defined the meaning of mental illness, I am trying to define it from the perspective which is in relation with the question today. Mental illness, as we are all aware, that it is a disorder that can cause psychological and behavioral disturbances with varying severities. So among the causes, the diseases caused by impurified hearts. I'm referring to the causes which is related to the divine revelation being highlighted there, that among those which will lead a person into the unpeaceful situation, psychological disorder or disturbances, which later lead on to his behavioral disturbances, might be caused by an impurified heart, such as hopelessness, self-conceit, arrogance, hasad or jealousy, etc. There are many more actually. So I'm trying to focus tonight, inshallah, only to these three first: hopelessness, self-conceit, and arrogance. So when people did not manage this situation or did not try to treat this situation, according to the guidance from the divine revelations, it might lead the person into a physical, mental situation, physical illness and difficulties, such as what we can see the symptoms. It include confusion, depression, social withdrawal, as been explained by our earlier speaker tonight, this evening, or also extreme feelings of pleasure, anger, excitement, fear, or grief. So maybe if you would like to listen further on those parts, which is related to treatments by having ikhlas, sincerity, and implementing ukhuwah or brotherhood and sisterhood in Islam, it can provide peaceful heart and mind. And this is available on YouTube channel. Then this is the link. If you would like to have it, maybe I can share later on in the chat box. So as I said, I cannot cover all parts and all points tonight, but I'm sharing partially from these points, and you can watch further in my channel, and may it help you, inshallah. So these are the three diseases that discovered by our scholars from the understanding of divine revelation. If it is not controlled, it is not managed, or it is not being treated accordingly, then it might lead a person into another mental illness. It is related to hopelessness, al-ya'su in Arabic language, self-conceit, as well as arrogance, ujub, ghurur, or takabbur. So we go first for the first one, that is the hopelessness. Yeah, I go very fast, inshallah, but I pray, inshallah, Allah will help us to understand. It is Allah who grants us with understanding. Our part is just to put our effort to understand and pray to Allah. May Allah grant us with that beneficial knowledge tonight, inshallah. So the hopelessness, there are two kinds, whether it is in material matters or it is in spiritual matters. Hopelessness in relation to material matters are those that we can when we can sense it with our five senses, whereby in the spiritual matters it might relate to our hearts, to our minds, to our emotions, etc. So there are three levels of hopelessness, and hopelessness is a barrier before all sorts of perfection. When a person is suffering from hopelessness, they are actually in a situation in which they lost the hope to someone that they believe can help them, can protect them, can provide assistance at any time. They don't feel it anymore. They thought that it is not there. Also been explained by our earlier speaker. So in Islam, as a Muslim and as a believer, we always being informed many times that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Ar-Rahman. He is Ar-Rahim. He is the most merciful, isn't it? He is the most compassionate. It means that there is someone who will always merciful upon us, who always care about us, who always love us so much to the extent it reached to the level of compassionate, more than ordinary love. And this love is unlimited. This love is endless. And that love, that compassionate, that patient, that care is originated from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is always there for us. And he never sleeps, he never get bored. He is always ready to help. Allah is the greatest one. However, in certain situations, when the faith, when the iman, or perhaps being tested during that time, a person might be fall into the hopelessness. So we have to realize that when the hopelessness is attacking our heart, with why I'm saying attacking, because it is a disease, then we have to immediately remember and return back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We shouldn't be hopelessness. Yeah, it shouldn't be there, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enshrined in the Quran, وَلَا تَيْأَسُوا مِنْ رَحْمَةِ اللَّهِ. Never lose hope with the rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A person who is hopelessness has built a barrier before all sorts of perfection. And if this barrier is not taken out, if this barrier remains there, then it will cause more difficult situations, problems and troubles into the person's life. This is one of the biggest causes of suicide. As we are all aware that according to the statistic, that the biggest countries in the world, the largest numbers of those who committed suicide are among the developed worlds, isn't it? Are among the developed countries. And we discovered that these developed countries are among the non-Muslims, non-believers countries. So then we can see the relationship between a belief, between an iman, between Islam, with the unbelievers, disbelievers who deny the existence of God, and they end up with committing suicide. So once again, this is a good news for all of us. I believe all who are here tonight are among those who have hope in their life, who have the belief that Allah loves us, Allah has mercy on us. So inshallah, with this love, then we will be able, with this realization, with this acknowledgement, with this recognition, inshallah, we will be able to get rid of any kind of hopelessness in our heart. Somebody who cannot perform good deeds and protect himself from prohibited actions may fall into hopelessness. Yes, we understand this situation. When some people continuously committing mistakes, for example, or some people continuously thought that they fall into a situations where they cannot get rid of the problems and challenges that they are facing. Some people might thought that they are now hopelessness, right? They are hopeless. They thought that there is no other way out. I'm going to fail here. So let's take a look. Brothers and sisters, I would like to share a story about a person who was in prison with Ustaz Ahmed Khusraw Effendi in the jail in Turkey. So this is a true story, and this is about less than 100 years ago. I mean, within this modern era, after the fall of the Ottoman Empire. So what was Ustaz Ahmed Khusraw Effendi do? He was being sentenced to imprisonment because of conveying the teaching of the Quran through the Rasail an-Nur. Of course, this is not a crime, but as you know, that Turkey during that time are suffering from the secular government and secular system, which try their best to eliminate all sorts of religious belief, especially Islam and the Quran. So he was imprisoned at the worst cell, where he was allocated with the most extreme prisoners during that time. Yeah, and then the leader of the member of that cell approached him because he saw that Ustad Ahmad Husraf Effendi was so committed to his belief in Allah. He never leave the salah. Although they are in a very poor situation, he always performed his obligatory salah. And he always prayed to Allah. So this person was so eager to understand, then he would like to know. This person is a very extremely dangerous person, right? And they were expecting that when Ustad Ahmad Husrau being imprisoned with the same guys, then he could be bullied. He could reach tortures from these people. Unfortunately, the situation goes the other way around. So the worst guy approached him and asked him and told him that he is the worst man in this world. He has been killing so many people. He has been damaging so many lives. He has been raping so many women. He has been stealing so many people, houses, properties, and wealth. Is there any hope for him to be forgiven by God? That's always the question. Yeah, because he was hopeless actually. And the moment he believed that he will not be forgiven by the God, the more he commit crimes and sinful acts. And what was the answer? Ahmad Husraf Effendi asked him another question. Where did you come from? And he explained, I came from the Black Sea area. There is an Aegean area in Turkey, whereby it is nearby the ocean. Then Ahmad Husraf used an example which is suitable with his own environment, with his own background, where he grown up in an area nearby the ocean. So he asked him, all right, let's see that we take this one spoon, yeah, and then we take one spoon of water from the sea, from the Black Sea. Would it decrease the number and the amount of the water of that sea? That guy answered, of course no. Just one spoon has no effect to the huge ocean and sea. Right. And then the other question. Let's say we add on one spoon of water into that sea. Would that add the amount and increase the quantity of water in that sea? So that person responded by saying, of course not. Adding one spoon of water into the ocean has no effect at all. The ocean and the sea is very huge. It has a lot of water already. So then Ustad Ahmad Husraf said, that is the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The bounty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah is Al-Ghafur. Allah is the most forgiving. And Allah's forgiveness, Allah's bounty, Allah's Rahman, Allah's Rahim is endless, is unlimited. Whatever sinful acts you have done, and when you ask his forgiveness, he will forgive you, and it will never decrease the Rahman and Rahim of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. With that answer, that person was very happy. Instead of becoming continuously in the situation of hopelessness, he even repented, and asked forgiveness from Allah, performing tawbah, and he has become among the best believers in that cell, in that prison. Can you see how much important it is to get rid of this hopelessness? And in the hadith narrated by Imam Bukhari and Muslim, it is hadith Qudsi where Allah said, Ana inda zanni abdi bi. I am up to the perception of my servant. So if we look at Allah as Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, Al-Ghafur, Allah will definitely become Rahman to us. Allah will provide His Rahim to us. And Allah will always forgive whatever mistakes that we have committed, whatever sinful acts that we have done, because Allah is Al-Ghafur. So we have to be between fear and hope. We have to fear Allah, but at the same time, we always hope that Allah SWT will always care for us, will always forgive us. Then we can get rid of the hopelessness. The second disease is the self-conceit of ujub. So the one who falls into hopelessness looks for something to rely on, isn't it? Because they feel like they are now losing their hope. They cannot rely to anyone, to anybody. So they are looking for something that they can rely on. Then he finds out that he has some good deeds. Then he immediately relies on his good deeds. Trusting them, he says, these good deeds will save me. They are enough. And he is relieved to a certain extent. Yet, trusting one's deeds is actually an ujub. This is what we call a self-conceit. It drags one into misguidance because man has no share in good deeds, doesn't own it and cannot trust it. This is actually another kind of disease. Yes, it is good to have self-confidence, but to certain extent only, without denying the contribution and the role of Allah, the Lord, the God, in all that good deeds that we were able to perform. So actually, this is related to the hopelessness. A person become overconfident of his own good deeds because they are trying to develop or to fill in the hole and to fill in the gap or to close the hole that they know they are actually hopeless, right? So this has to be eliminated from the heart of human being, because whatever good things that happen in our life is from Allah. Allah SWT said in Surah An-Nisa verse 79, A'udhu billahi minasyaitanir rajim, ma asabaka min hasanatin faminallah, wa ma asabaka min sayyi'atin famin nafsik. What comes to you of good is from Allah, but what comes to you of evil, O man, is actually from yourself. Right? We can see, for example, when we want to switch on the lights. Now, if you ask the question, who actually make the lights on? Who actually on that light? Yes, we know we are the one who switch it on, but is it we who provide the lights that bring brightness to our room, for example? Is it 100% we? Because light, lamp, and brightness is something which is good, isn't it? And Allah SWT said in this ayah, whatever good is from Allah, but whatever bad, whatever wrong is from us. So the answer is, yes, we do have the choice to switch on the light so that it will bring brightness to the room, so it will bring goodness to us. But it is not us who manufactured the switch. We did not involve in manufacturing the electricity power. We also did not have any contribution to the cable and the wire provided so that the electricity can be supplied into our house, isn't it? We also did not create that lamp, that lights, we bought it, right? And so everything is actually not 100% prepared by us. We are only putting the effort to switch on the lights, and the rest is actually depending on others as well. So this is how we understand that whatever we do in this life, when it is good, it is actually what Allah wants it to be, what Allah wants that be to be on us. I mean, that it should happen to us. But then when we choose to do bad, right, when we choose to do wrong, then it is what we have chose with the desires, not following the divine revelation, because there's no single divine revelation which taught us to do bad. In fact, all divine revelations are guiding us to perform good. So great Islamic figures never claim that their good deeds will save them. We never heard any scholar say, Alhamdulillah, I am very pious. I have performed so many ibadah. I am confirmed to be the member of the Jannah. We never heard that because they will never claim that their good deeds will save them. Our good deeds are not enough, brothers and sisters, for thanking for the bounties that we have from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we praise Allah. Human being has only one action that he can own. That is the free will. Even the simplest actions such as eating and drinking cannot be owned by human beings. For example, now, let's say, if you have food in front of you or you have a drink, you try to drink or consume that food. Or perhaps some is watching while eating, right? So now, let's take a look. The food and the drink that you put into your mouth, you swallow it, for example, do you have control over that? Do you manage the drink or the food that now entering your body, going through your throat, and then now passing by your chest and go down to the stomach? And then now it's processing in the stomach. Do you have full control over that items that is entering your body right now? The answer is no. We cannot control. We can just have the free will to drink it or eat it, but then the one who is controlling everything is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that is what meant by good deeds are from Allah and the bad is from our part because we choose to do bad. So don't choose to do bad. Don't choose to perform any wrongdoings. Choose to perform the best, and the rest is to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us. So same goes to level of intelligence. Can anyone here use a remote control to manage their level of intelligence so that they can ensure they can achieve 4 flats, for example, in this GPA with a very high degree of intelligence? The answer is no, because it is all under the control of Allah, and Allah will provide us with the best level of intelligence which suits us, right? And now this is our free will to choose to be hardworking, to choose to perform all the assignments and tasks given on time, so that we can reach to the acceptable level of a scholar, inshallah, in our area of specialization. Let's take a look at these brothers with their nice dressing, the modern style. We might say, mashallah, what a good fashion, what a nice fashion, what a presentable attire, isn't it? So here we have to see, we have to check. Is it the person, the models who are wearing this attire is the one who designed everything? Are they the one who tailor their attire? Are they the one who cut, who sew it, or who designed the fashion, or everything? Yani, they are just the person who bought the attire and they put it on their body, and then it looks good, and then people praise them. But remember, it is not they 100% who prepare everything, isn't it? They relies on many other entities. Another of Satan's cunning wiles is to prevent man admitting his faults in order to close up the way of seeking forgiveness and taking refuge with Allah. Be very careful. A person who is always in self-conceit, ujub, right? It is actually might be under the Satan's cunning wiles, because it is the job and the task run by the shaitan to cheat us, and to deceive the human being and close up the way for that human being from seeking tawbah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is by providing the overconfidence within himself, by telling him you are so good, you are so nice person, you are so advanced, developed, etc. So that the person will thought, oh, I'm so good, I'm so excellent, I'm so perfect in all aspects. Thus, I don't need to seek any tawbah. I don't need anyone. I don't even need to take refuge with Allah, because I am excellent in every aspect. So be careful, brothers and sisters. When we have this kind of diseases, we have to work on eliminating it, because it will lead to another kind of mental illness when we become arrogant. So Allah SWT has reprimanded from becoming an arrogance in one of the verses in the Quran. Innahu la yuhibbul mustakbirin. Indeed, He, Allah, does not like the arrogant. And there is a hadith which mentioned that it is enough as a sin for a human being to overlook his fellow Muslim brother. Or another hadith said, whoever humbles himself, Allah elevates him. Man tawada'a rafa'ahu Allah. Looking down on others while having a high esteem of yourself is an arrogant. Preferring this world over akhirah and looking down on akhirah by saying, as I mentioned an example earlier, by for example, creating an excuse when people advise them not to perform or not to commit wrongdoing, sinful acts, they responded by saying, we are not going to share the same grave. Our grave will be splitted, separated. This is actually one form of arrogance, one form of takabbur, believing that they are so good, no need to think about akhirah, even looking down on akhirah, while Allah SWT has reminded in the Quran, وَمَا الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا إِلَّا مَتَاعُ الْغُرُورِ. It is this life, it's no more than actually properties that will lead people to be cheated and deceived. I mean, people, when they enjoy too much with the bounties, with the wealth, with the pleasures of this life, they tend to forget about the hereafter. And Allah has mentioned this, do not be deceived with the pleasures of this world, because it is all deception. It is not eternal. It is all temporary. So do not look down on the orders of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as it is actually another form of arrogance, and that is also another kind of the diseases of the heart. Thank you very much. I'm passing the microphone back to the moderator.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Okay. The third question would be, is there any specific dua or zikir ibadah for mental management that we can extract from Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's way of life for us to practice?
All right, inshallah. Thank you for the good question. The Prophet ﷺ is the Qudwa Hasana. He is the example, the best model for all of us to imitate, to duplicate for, if possible, the way of life. Islam is the way of life. Uswatun Hasanatun. I mean, there are so many evidences in the divine revelation indicating and commanding us to actually look at the Prophet ﷺ, exemplify his actions, his deeds, his doings, his sayings, his ibadah, etc. So, if the question is about specific dua, zikr, ibadah for mental management that we can extract from Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam way of life for us to practice, the answer is actually yes, but that would again require a very lengthy discussion, a thorough reading on all the teachings and guidance that he has provided. Even if we look at the one of the compilation of the hadith of the Prophet, which is Sahih Bukhari, it will take us years to finish the whole hadith, whereby the whole hadith is actually the specific dua, zikr, ibadah and guidance for all of us. And when we are able to practice all of them, we will actually be able to maintain a mental health. I mean, good, and manage a good mental health. All right, it is impossible, as I said, to cover the whole aspects, but maybe within this limited time, I would like to share on the best kind of petitionary or prayer dua that we can say for another believer. Why am I saying for another believer? Because there is a hadith which stated that whoever a believer is praying for the others, among their brothers, among their sisters, with dhahril ghaib, behind them, without the presence of these particular people that we are praying for them, the malaika, the angels will say Ameen for our dua, and they will pray to Allah. Walahu bimithli dhalik. The angels and malaika will pray to Allah, may all the dua that we are currently reciting for our brothers and sisters, and they do not know that we are praying for them, the malaika and the angels witness it. And these malaika and angels, they are saying Ameen, and they are asking Allah to grant and reward us the same dua that we are reciting for the others. MashaAllah. So, brothers and sisters, that you can see, whatever dua that you recite, it is actually automatically going back to us. This is the beauty of Islam. We don't need to be selfish, right? We don't need to focus on ourselves, become so ego, or what we call it as ananiya, the disease of ego. This is another disease. and this is also a huge topic when talking about about the ego. But then here we can see the altruistic behavior, where we prioritize our brothers and sisters in Islam, will actually return the advantages and benefit to us. So my advice here this evening, brothers and sisters, don't forget to pray for your brothers and sisters in Islam. And do not worry, whatever you pray for them, it will goes back to you. And the one who is praying for you is malaika, is an angel, is a devoted servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. MashaAllah. Right? So the conditions of accepted prayers, number one is first, cleanse yourself by seeking God's forgiveness. As much as possible, if you know that you are in need of Allah's help, you are in need of Allah's guidance, make sure we cleanse ourselves by seeking Allah's forgiveness. Istighfar. So cleansing ourselves here is referring to both kind of purifications. It is a physical cleansing, which you can do wudu, for example, and the spiritual cleansing, which is purifying the intention, purifying the heart, which I named it earlier as tazkiyatun nas. In fact, in Islam, Tazkiyatun Nafs has become one of the most interesting discipline of knowledge. That's how much Islam really concerned about psychology. We even specified books and we specified discussions on how to purify the heart, how to purify the souls, so that a person can become a healthy person, a healthy human being, not just the physical health, but of course, more important than that is the spiritual health. So cleanse yourself by seeking all God's forgiveness by reciting tawbah, as simple as astaghfirullah al-azim. As simple as that. And there are many forms of tawbah that we can do, but how much merciful of Allah, He doesn't require us to do any kind of sacrifice in order to ensure that we will be forgiven by Him. So by simply having the sincerity to ask the forgiveness, Allah is always there to forgive us. MashaAllah. How beautiful is that? Secondly, call God's blessing on Prophet Muhammad as an intercessor before and after the prayer by saying Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad. For calling God's blessing on our Prophet is acceptable, and a prayer said between two acceptable prayers is usually acceptable. It is enshrined in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. There are some tips and guidance on the acceptable times to perform prayers in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will listen to those prayers. And among that is those prayers being recited after the salah. Right? So please take time to pray to Allah after performing the salah, the obligatory prayers. Put our hand up and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala whatever we want to ask, just ask. And there is no prohibition or there is no limitation to ask from Him, to beg from Him. Whatever need that we have in this life and whatever need that we want to have in the hereafter, we are always welcome to ask. We are always welcome to put up our hand and pray, recite the prayer and ask from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number 3, such a prayer should be said in the absence of the believer in question and be of the kind mentioned in the Quran and the traditions. This is what I meant just now. If we want to have the dua to be fulfilled about someone else, about our beloved one in our family, for example, among our relatives, for example, we can say it during the absence without they even know it. But as I said, the angels will definitely say Amin for you and they will return the dua for you, and then the dua is then stated as both for the person that we pray in absence and also for ourselves as the one who prayed for them. MashaAllah. Okay, number 3. And for example of comprehensive prayers, refer such comprehensive prayers as Rabbana Atina Fid Dunya Hasanah. This is an example of a comprehensive prayer. Of course, there are so many other prayers to manage our mental health. In fact, all prayers will actually assist us in managing our mental to ensure it remain healthy. But there are also dua which sounds comprehensive because it includes all kinds of happiness, all kinds of sustainability, yeah, all kinds of success, which include the lives of in this world and the life in the hereafter. For example, here it is stated in the Quran, Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina adhaban nar. Rabbana, O our Lord, atina fid dunya hasanah, please grant us good in this world. Wa fil akhirati hasanah, and good in the hereafter. Wa qina adhaban nar, and guard us against the chastisement of the hell fire. So you can see what this is a comprehensive dua because we are asking Allah all kind of success, all kind of good in this life while we are still alive. And then when we pass away, we'll go to the barzakh, which is part of the hereafter. Wa fil akhirati hasana, and we still ask the good in barzakh life, in the hereafter, in mahshar life, as well as waqina adhabannar, and we ask from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guard us against the chastisement of the hell fire. So what a very comprehensive dua. It includes all lives that we are going to go through in the future. Right. So this is one example. Yeah. The more we recite this dua, the more we istiqamah, we are actually trying to achieve the success in all aspects. It does not limited only to the mental health, but it's also include to all sorts of success in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because the measurement of success sometimes as a human being might vary from the true success that is granted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because Allah is Al-Alim, the most knowing, right? So He knows what is the real good success for us. When we keep on reciting this dua, He is preparing the real success for us. So sometimes our worldview of success will be different in this situation. Whatever we receive or whatever happened to us in this life, which we might thought it to be something which is considered like unsuccessful in our opinion, in our worldview, remember that Allah SWT knows best, because we always recite this dua. Of course, Allah SWT will provide us the best, and that is the success that He wants in this world. The failure that we thought is as a failure might be a real success that He wants, which is not limited to this world, but then it will be extended to hereafter. Perhaps with the failure that we have and being tested in this world will lead us to another different life or another different path, which actually will promise a better future for us. And that future is not just limited in this world, brothers and sisters. That is the real future, which prolong into the eternal life in the hereafter, to be the member of the Jannah. Allahumma inni as'aluka al-afwa wal-afiyah li wa lahu fid dunya wal-akhirah. Another example. Ya Allah, I'm asking from you, Ya Allah, al-afwa, the soundness, wal-afiyah, the good situation, the forgiveness. Al-afwa is also the forgiveness. In Malay, we call it ma'af, isn't it? So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the forgiveness. Wal-afiyah is the soundness. Li wa lahu, for me and for him or for her. You can mention the names. Yeah. Allahumma inni as'aluka al-afwa wal-afiyata li wa li Fatimah, for example. Wa li Aisha, for example. Fid dunya, in this world, wal akhirah, and the hereafter. Another comprehensive dua, because al-afwa wal-afiyah is only made known the best in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Al-afwa, the forgiveness, and afiyah, the soundness, from our worldview and opinion might again vary from the real afwa wal-afiyah in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So do have tawakkal, do have belief, do have yaqeen while reciting this dua. It will provide us another happiness and managing our mental health. Number 4, the conditions of accepted prayers. Pray from your heart with sincerity, with ikhlas, with religious seriousness and solemn reverence, not just like for fun or not just for formality. For example, in our university, we always recite Al-Fatiha before any programs, isn't it? But make sure this Al-Fatiha is ikhlas, is sincerely being performed for the sake of Allah, asking His help, not just a formality. That differ, right? The result and the implication will be different. The one who recite Al-Fatiha sincerely and the one who recite it just for worldly intentions. Okay, number 5, do so after the 5 daily prayers and particularly after the early morning prayer. And in such blessed times, such as Friday, right? Today was Friday. In Islam, after Maghrib is considered the other day, right? So the Friday for us is actually up to before Maghrib, especially during the hour when prayer is absolutely accepted. It is mentioned in the hadith of the Prophet. And it is in the 3 blessed months, for example, particularly on the special nights, that is during Ramadan, and most particularly on the night of Qadar, in the month of Ramadan, that is called as the night of power and destiny. All kinds of dua will be fulfilled by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but the exact day is made known to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. Our task and our duty is try to chase it, try to get it, try to obtain that particular night by trying our best to perform the night prayers in the last 10 days of the Ramadan. Number 6, further try to supplicate in the mosque. God is expected through His mercy to accept petitions meeting such condition, especially for the brothers. He either answers it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala either answers it here or causes the one in whose name it is made to benefit from it in the hereafter. Perhaps the things that we requested will be fulfilled in this world when Allah see is the best and the most suitable for us. He will provide it in this world, but might be also postponed in the hereafter because Allah knows best that this shouldn't be granted for him in this life. This should be postponed. The one that he requested is not the best for him. Asa an takrahu shay'aw wa huwa khairul lakum is mentioned in the Quran. Sometimes you thought it is bad for you, but it is actually good for you. Asa an tuhibbu shay'aw wa huwa syarrul lakum. Sometimes you like that thing, but actually it is not good for you. See, Allah knows best, right? Allah Al-Khabir. That's why whatever Allah has caused it to happen to us, it is within His qada and qadar, and His qada and qadar must be the best. So if you do not obtain the desired result, consider your prayer as having received a better acceptance. And with that, again, we will feel happy, we will feel satisfied, contentment, and inshallah, we leave the rest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and He is providing the best for all of us, not just in this world, but of course in the hereafter. With that, I hope I have answered the third question, and I would like to return the microphone back to Sister Nurul Khadijah. And before that, maybe I would like to apology for any shortcomings from my side. May Allah accept all this effort as our ibadah. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Doctor, because you answered the question very well, and yeah, very we have very new knowledges and even open our eyes. Okay, now we are moving on to the Q&A session. So if anybody has inquiry or concern to share, you can unmute your speaker. But I think there is a few questions in chat box in Google Meet and also Facebook. So maybe I would like to read the first one. She said to Madam Amelia. So Assalamualaikum to Madam Amelia. I have two questions. So first question is how to differentiate between stress and depression as youngsters nowadays tend to do self-diagnose and conclude themselves as someone who's facing mental health problem. And also the second, how can a person who has mental health issue share his or her problems to someone despite the stigma that our community had about those who's facing these problems? Thank you.
Thank you, moderator. Thank you, moderator, and also Sister Nur Atira for the wonderful questions. Regarding the first question addressed, how to differentiate between stress and depression, if you can recall the earlier sharing that I made just now, when we talk about mental health, there are three elements that are affecting one another. All right, and those are our ability to think normally, our ability to have normal emotions, also to act normally. So I also mentioned earlier that it is normal for us human being to have stress in life. Okay, for normal human being, sometimes we will come across with things that is, and the unexpected things, something that we are not preferred with. So those unexpected things will eventually make us stress, and those are known as normal stress. Macam tu. So how to differentiate stress from depression? Okay, stress is acceptable as long as it does not affect our behavior. Okay. Meanwhile, for depression, the moment that particular incident affect our ability to think normally, to feel normally, and to act normally, that is the weightage for depression. Life stress is acceptable as they are all normal stress, but depression is when the three elements are affected so badly. Okay, example. Talking about your assignment, your in-class assignment, for example. Yes, I know assignment is all headache. Tak ada assignment pun yang tak headache. They are all headache by nature. Okay, so when you have your assignment and you are working on it, it's kind of stress because you need to deal with the assignment itself, you need to deal with your group mates, you need to deal with the nak cari lecturer susah, benda-benda macam tu lah, those technical things. However, that particular assignment will not affect you to the extent where you will have ataupun you're going to have some kind of abnormal behavior. abnormal way of feeling. Stress will only make you feel headache to some extent, but it will not affect your behavior at all. It will not affect you. It will not lead you to act in such abnormal manner. So, if you are still able to control your behavior, if you're still able to control your emotion to some extent, in bracket, you are able to act and feel and think normally, that is yet depression. It is just a normal stress that experienced by many normal human beings, even me. How much of it? But depression is at another level. Depression is when an individual fail to act normal, fail to feel normal, fail to think normal. And depression will not only affect an individual on certain tasks, it will affect an individual in their life as well. Assignment will only affect us and give us some headache when we talk about the assignment only. But once the assignment is done, once the assignment is submitted, the tendency for the student to feel relief is there. Meaning that is depression, it will never leave that person. Yes. Nampak So my dear students, do not misevaluate ataupun misdiagnose yourself. Please tell yourself that for all the stress that you have, especially related to your study, the assignment lah, program lah, your roommate lah, they are all normal stress, acceptable as we are all normal human beings. Okay? And world doesn't work in the way that we like. Nampak tak? So the tendency for us to experience unfavorable things, which then lead to stress, is there almost at all time. It's fine. But the moment those things affecting your ability to think normally, to feel normally, and worse, to act normally, then it is a trigger. It is an indicator that you might need help. Macam tu. Okay?
Okay. Okay. For the second question, did you answer it?
Okay, I am yet to answer the second question. Okay, so second question, how can a person who has mental health issue share his or her problem to someone despite the stigma that our community had about those who's facing problem? Okay, thank you very much. From my experience dealing with people with depression and from my own reading in psychology, one of the effective way for us to heal ataupun to treat things related to mental health is by consultation. Fardu kifayah. This is where I want to highlight the importance of fardu kifayah. Our society tend to interpret fardu kifayah mostly as janazah management alone. But the truth behind fardu kifayah is that it covers all aspects that are related to humanities, nampak tak? To human being. So, talking about the mental health issue, the thing that I want to highlight specifically on fardu kifayah is that we should always be there for one another. We should always help one another. We should not have those stigma with us, because the fact is, my dear students, brothers and sisters, each and everyone here has the tendency to experience mental health at any time, at any age. Nampak tak? It doesn't mean that, for example, like, oh, my mom, they are all healthy. My mom, who is now aged 60 years old, are good. It doesn't mean that your mom ataupun ialah Nauzam Zaling, the 60-year-old lady or 60-year-old man will never experience mental health issue once in her or his life. Because mental health illnesses is an illness, okay? Is a disease where people may experience it at any level of age. Okay? So, how can a person who has mental health issue share his or her problem? It is not only can, but those who are struggling with mental health issue, they should always find people so that they can share and they can let things out of them, let things out from them. They need to channel those stress away from them. That is one of the way how we can literally take out all the burden that we had in this macam tu. People with depression, because as I said earlier, depression is the higher stage of stress. Meaning to say, we have stress 1, we have stress 2, stress 3, stress 4, they combine together, they will burn out. Nampak tak? So, then how to prevent them? The way for us to prevent the stress from being grouped together is by to let them out. So how to let them out? Either we can solve it or we can talk to people about it. Okay, madam, then to whom we should talk about it, madam? You can find people that you trust. Okay, and talking about the people that we trust, many of us will think, oh, my family is the best. But some of us might also think my family is not the best. So, talking about the people that we trust, it may be your family, it may also be your friends, it may also be anyone that you have, that you feel secure lah to share with, macam tu. But talking about best friend and all, okay, it is also very tricky. Not all best friends are best. Nampak tak? So this is another challenge for people these days. Okay, we are all stressed with our life. We are all stressed with those life commitment, with the study commitment. Yet we also the tendency for us to be betrayed by friends is that. Sebab tu, whenever we want to make friends, we can be friends, but not necessarily best friend. Okay, then to whom should we share, madam? Sebab tadi cakap, only you know your circle. Only you know the type of friend that you have in your life, in your circle. Choose them wisely. Macam tu. Habis madam, kalau madam prefer yang mana? Talking about me, I would say I somehow, talking about, things in us, okay? I would love to talk to strangers. Yes, I love to talk to strangers. Where can I find strangers? When I join event, when I join program, I'll talk to strangers. Why do I choose strangers? Because I don't know them and they don't know me. The moment we end that moment, the moment we end that meeting, then it's just end. It will not be dragged to our life. Oh, this is the person that I met yesterday. This is the person that we talked last night about her problem. No, that is my way lah. But then again, different person, different people, we all have our own treatment plan ataupun we have our own healing methods. Macam tu. So like my case, I love to talk to strangers. I join program and then we have a talk during break times. That is when I seek for their opinion, I seek for their life experiences, because once we are done, when we are done. But yes, again, different person, different people, we all have our own way of solving problems. So the thing that I want to highlight, yes, it is important for us to let things out from us. We must let things out from us. We cannot keep everything to ourselves. Because of why? Because all human beings, we have our own limit. So identify our limit. We are not orang cakap, a dustbin, we put everything, we just put and dump because dustbin itself are being cleaned up by the cleaner. So the same principle apply in life lah. We may have stress in life, but we must also identify the limit of our life. Limit about doing program, limit in doing event, limit in assignment, limit on I have reached my limit, madam. I can no longer tolerate with her. It's fine. Nampak tak? So yes, you must let things out from you. You must identify your limit for the sake of your mental health, please.
Thank you so much, madam. So just left thing out. Don't keep alone. Okay, so the second one is okay. I think this is for Dr. Rauda. Assalamualaikum, Prof. My first question is, may I know if we can get the slides that you shared just now? Then my second question is there dalil that the mental is a part of the soul? Okay, Doctor.
Okay, shall I answer this question first? Because I've seen some other questions as well in the chat box. Shall we combine all?
If you want to combine, it's okay, I think. So I would like to read all the questions that the listener Atira wrote for you. And I think there is one more in Facebook. Should you do you want me to read?
Okay, it's okay. I'll go one by one, inshallah.
Okay. Yes, Assalamualaikum, Dr. I have several questions. How can we convince a person who's facing mental health problems that believing in Allah, God, and religion should be included when it comes to seeking healing from mental health problems? The second one is, does revolving ourselves with bad and haram activities and negative friends surroundings can lead us to have or to obtain mental health problems, as you said before. Unpurified hearts can lead to negative thought. Thank you, Doctor.
Okay, inshallah to save the time, because we only up to 10:30, right? So I'll answer the first question on the whether you can get the slide. Yes, you can have this slide. I can share it with you maybe through Telegram. You can text me at my number that I have typed in the chat box. Yeah? So text me and give me salam and ask for the slides. Inshallah, I'll share it with you. It is Wakaf Island by Brothers of Herat Foundation. I've learned a lot from them and I've benefited a lot from the knowledge of Tafsir Rasail An-Nur, the Quranic interpretation following the modern lifestyle, the modern challenges and the modern ideological way of thinking. So inshallah, I have no problem to share the slide with you. Secondly, on the question about is there any dalil that mental health is part of the soul? Yes, sisters, if you want to discuss about this one, this will also require months as I'm teaching such subject. For example, in some masjid, surau, with the public, and I normally use our book, not my book, sorry. We have a book published by Centuries. It is on dosa akhir zaman, and on chapter 15 written by myself with Ustazah Asma Harun about koleksi dosa hati, collection of the sins of the heart. At least we have around 10 to 15 dalil about mental as being a part of the soul. So one of it, if I can share with you, if you can see on the screen, is Surah Al-Hajj, when Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala mentioned about the reality of the qalb as the medium of thinking, and that involves mental. أفلم يسيروا في الأرض فتكون لهم قلوب يعقلون بها أو آذان يسمعون بها. Why don't you travel on this earth, ponder about what you have seen on this earth, so that your heart will have aql, your heart will be thinking, right? So it is not about the brain only thinking as what we always understand. It is the heart as well. The heart is involving in the process of thinking, and the ears is involving in the process of listening. And Allah reminded for those who does not use these these two tools to function according to what He wants us to use it. Allah said, فَإِنَّهَا لَا تَعْمَى الْأَبْصَارِ وَلَكِنْ تَعْمَى الْقُلُوبُ الَّتِي فِي الصُّدُورِ. Indeed, it is not about the vision which is blind, but the heart is the one which has become blind, and that heart is located in the chest. So, of course, we don't refer to the physical heart, right? The one that we can scan using the ultrasound. Not that heart. It is the non-physical heart, and that refers to the mental, and that is part of the soul, whereby this soul is the energy of the human being. When the soul is there, means you are alive. I believe all of us are having our souls right here. If not, then we are no longer in this world. Those who don't have the soul, they don't have the energy, they don't have the living substantial in their body, where therefore they will be in the grave, isn't it? And therefore, in this soul, the unseen soul, there are entities, including the mental, including the aql and the qalb. The qalb is interpreted in many definitions. Here, I would like to define it, translate it in a simple way, that is the heart. And the Prophet ﷺ mentioned in the dalil, because you asked for dalil, isn't it? ألا وإن في الجسد مضغة إذا صلحت صلح الجسد كله. Indeed, in the body, in the human's physical body, there is a congealed blood. Okay, this is referring to the congealed blood. If this congealed blood is good, then the whole body, physical body, will be healthy. But if this congealed blood is damaged, then the whole physical body will also damage, and that congealed blood referred to the heart. See, and we know heart attack is the most scary and dangerous disease in this world. That refers to the physical health. But then it is also understood that the spiritual health, the mental health, also relies on the situation of the heart. So it is very crucial to take care of the mental health, to ensure the purification of the heart must always ongoing, so that our soul will be in the best situation. And then when we talk about that, again, I think this chart will help you, inshallah, to understand further on the relationship between the mental, soul, qalb, aql, heart and everything. Actually, al-qalb in Arabic language that I said, I translated in a simple translation as heart. It has relationship with the aql. Aql is the mental, and the relationship between aql and the heart will reflected in the attitude of amana, as-sidq, honesty, ihsan, at-tawadu, as-sabr, passion. Yeah, passion also need mind setting, isn't it? Sometimes the emotion wants to get angry, but the aql said no, be patient. It is commendable, rewarded by Allah. So we will manage our heart so that we can remain patient. Same goes to the management of mental health. It's really need a strong heart as well as a rational mind so that we can maintain the health the way it's supposed to be. And then the qalb is also related to the another part of the heart, which we call it as al-fuad, which means the feelings, yeah? The feelings of the person, the emotions of the person, which bring uh, uh, to which bring the emotion of al-khawf, for example, fearness, scared, frightened, the shahwa, the desires, al-tama, the stinginess, al-hasad, the jealousy, and this is what I have discussed in another program that you can watch on YouTube if it can help you. Envy and jealousy, al-ghadab, anger, al-haqad, enmity, al-bukhl, almost like the same of al-tama, but slightly different, yeah, in stinginess. So this is very simple explanation, but of course, if you want to discuss further and you want to understand further, you might benefit from this book, which is on Dosa Akhir Zaman, and we have the second edition. It's with different cover, blue in color, but more likely to have the similar content. You can buy it from Centris, from Ustaz Shahrul, Dr. Abdul Rashid, or you can purchase it online. It will help you, inshallah, a lot, inshallah, especially from the divine revelations perspective. And then I hope I answered that question, although I can still answer more, but due to time limitation, let us focus on the most important point only. And then the other questions is about how can we convince a person who's facing mental health problems that believing in Allah and religion should be included when it comes to seeking healing from mental health problems. Okay, in answering this question is again, when I mentioned earlier that as a Muslim, Islam will try to solve any problem by identifying the root. Now, the crisis of the Ummah during this time is the disability to identify this root. Why this happen? It's because of the materialism ideology where people tend to focus on what they can see with their five senses, with our limited five senses only, whereby the one which involve the sixth sense or the one which involve the unseen matters has become neglected or abandoned, in which it become challenging for us to explain. And in this case, I would like to share with you the reality that has been explained in the Quran itself on the existence of those who tend to deny about the existence or about the discussion of mental health from a religious perspective, in which religious play a very significant role, yeah, to heal and to maintain a healthy mental situation. All right, here is the ayah. When Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala highlighted in Surah Al-A'raf, verse 179, and this is the reality and this is the fact, that there are many human beings, including the jinn, and which is part of the creatures of Allah, which is obligated to perform their duties in this world, to perform ibadah, will be subject to the judgment of Allah in the hereafter, are the jinn and the human being, isn't it? So now I'm sharing the ayah in Surah Al-A'raf about the jinn and human being, where Allah has highlighted that Allah has reprimanded that وَلَقَدْ زَرَعْنَا لِجَهَنَّمَ كَثِيرًا مِنَ الْجِنِّ وَالْإِنسِ. We will push and we will put and we will force a lot of jinn and human being into the hellfire Jahannam. Why? Why did Allah say that? Because normally when Allah said we will put them into the Jannah, we will enter them into the Jannah, we will welcome them to the Jannah. So normally the phrases used to welcome the believers into the Jannah is in a positive manner. But then when Allah is talking about throwing people into the hellfire, the terms used are either throwing or falling into the hellfire, or like this one is pushing by force. Yeah, darabna means pushing by force. That Allah mentioned in the Quran, we have to push a lot of jinn and human being by force into the Jahannam, because these people, lahum qulubun la yafqahuna biha. We have granted them with the hearts, with the feelings, with the aql, with the mental, but they did not use it to understand the reality and to understand the true responsibilities and obligation and the task assigned to them in this world. Walahum a'yunul la yubsiruna biha. They have eyes, but they are not using it to look and to ponder about upon what they are looking. I mean, their visions is not functioning the way Allah wants them to use it. وَلَهُمْ آذَانٌ لَا يَسْمَعُونَ بِهَا. And we have granted them with hearings, with the ears, but they don't use it to hear what we want them to hear. أُولَٰئِكَ كَالْأَنْعَامِ بَلْ هُمْ أَضَلُّ. These are the categories of creatures which are considered as animals, even worse than animals. أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْغَافِلُونَ. They are among those who are heedless in this world. So that answered the question. When we have the problem of people questioning on the relationship or the role of religion to be included when it comes to seeking healing from mental health problems. But for the believers, they have no issue. For the true believers who have taqwa, ihsan, iman, when they hear the solution from the Quranic perspective, it will immediately heal them. First of all, need to have the belief, need to build the iman once again, make it as iman tahqiqi, not just iman taqlidi, not just a followers because we are born to be Muslim, then we follow the religion as our parents' religion, as our parents believe. No. But an iman tahqiqi develop a person to know why I am a Muslim, why I am a mu'min. And in that way, that will open more futuhat. Yeah? It will open more ways for us to find the solution in relation to many problems in this life. So what we can do is actually prayers, dua, inshallah, with the help of the friends, dua, may some of the good things reach us. Inshallah, Allah protect us. Okay, and then of course I have a lengthy answer, but I have to limit it. Please understand my situation. Yeah, I couldn't provide a comprehensive answer, but I'm trying my best with the help of Allah. Of course, I'm not the expert. It is Allah. I hope Allah will guide me, inshallah. Number two, does revolving ourselves with bad haram activities and negative friends surroundings can lead us to have or to obtain mental health problems? Yes, according to the Tazkiyatun Nafs, discipline of knowledge, as I mentioned earlier. Committing wrongdoings, sinful acts, especially purposely and not with the intention. Okay, some people might commit wrongdoings with no intention, but when it is purposely done and continuously being repeated, yeah, with a clear intention that they are doing and committing sinful acts, then it will become a disease of the heart, where the person has now suffered from the disease of heedlessness, ignorance. Heedlessness, continuous heedlessness will lead them to become ignorance. Continuous ignorance will lead them to become like Jahiliyyah. And you know what the Jahiliyyah people has done? They have become fasiq, they become fasid, and these are the categories of the crimes in Islam. There are levels, yeah, and I cannot explain everything here. But yes, it do have effect on our heart. And when it becomes the diseases of the heart, one of the diseases of the heart, stubbornness, for example, it's a disease of the heart, isn't it? At the same time, while they are stubborn, while they are committing so many sinful acts and wrongdoings, but they still have the self-conceit to say that they are so good, that will lead to another serious heart diseases. So this will again become the barrier for them to see the truth, and they will be covered. The eyes will be shielded with all the sinful acts as pleasures, and they no longer see it as something which will bring the wrath of Allah, but instead, unfortunately, they will enjoy performing and committing the sinful acts continuously, and that will cause the disasters, whether in this life or in the hereafter, but definitely the negative impacts of the sinful acts can have the effect in this world. For example, we can say, right, Ustazah, what about those developed countries? They are so disciplined, they are so systematic, and they have no religion. Now, then we go back to the fact that yes, we see them systematic, disciplined, but at the same time, why are they suffering with a very large number of people committing suicide? They can be seen as systematic, but then at the same time, they are suffering in their hearts because they are forced to show this systematic life in front of the people. They are not sincere, or not. This is not referring to all cases, but this is just a simple example. In cases where they are actually not really sincere in being disciplined, being on time, but they force themselves to do so because it's a culture and because of the worriness of being judged in a negative manner by people surrounding them. So this is the lack of sincerity, ikhlas. Why in Islam we begin something with ikhlas? We do it for the sake of Allah, not for the sake of humankind, not for the sake of the creatures around us, not for the sake of their judgment or their perception or their acknowledgement, but all is directed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that will provide us with extraordinary strength to remain istiqamah. But when a person do something good just for the acknowledgement and recognition of surrounding them, then when the people surrounding them are not recognizing them, it will affect their mental health, because they will start to become frustrated or stressful. Why are people not appreciating me? I've tried my best to perform the best. Why they didn't recognize me? See, I mean, this will somehow affect your calmness, yeah. And this is what I meant here. What differ between those who stick with the belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, performing everything for the sake of Allah, rather than those who don't have the belief at all. So they are doing the best only for the sake of the recognition of other creatures. To certain extent, they would suddenly become hopelessness and end up with committing suicide. Na'udhu billahi min zalik. Okay, I hope I also partially answered to that question, although the answer should be very lengthy. And the last one is from the Facebook. Shall I entertain it or how? I return it back to the moderator first.
Okay. So the last question is, like, my question is, this one type of thought, a despair or hopelessness such, I don't believe anyone, even my mother or any experts, can help me at all except Allah, even for expressing my thought that I'm troubled with.
Okay, I hope I understand the question. It is actually like similar question with what I've been addressed to our speaker earlier, but maybe if Sister Madam Nur Amelia already shared her experience in managing the situation, I might share my own experience, in which, yes, it is true, sometimes we don't have anyone to trust, and it is not something wrong not to trust anyone because the reality is actually everyone is stranger to us in the hereafter, isn't it? No one is attached to us in the hereafter. Even those whom we thought that the most beloved one in this world, but then in the hereafter, we all become selfish, right? We all will only focus about ourselves. So the real reliance, we call it in Arabic as al-istinad, al-i'timad, the one that we can rely on and we can have 100% trust is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what do we do? What do I do, for example? So it's no longer a secret now. I will put my hand in the middle of the night and I choose that time because it's the best, the most suitable time for you to share everything to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Every single feeling that you have in your heart. From the smallest one, as small as atom, to the largest one, as large as KLCC, for example. Whatever you feel, whatever you suffer from, you can share with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You can construct your own sentences and phrases to express this to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala honestly, with no barrier, with no single secret to be hidden from, because He knows you very well. He is Al-Alim, Al-Khabir, Al-Sami', Al-Basir. He has all this in His 99 names. So while reciting your dua, you can mention all the related attributes of Allah that you believe it is will help you to solve your problem. mention it, recite it first, because this is another way to ensure that your dua will be fulfilled by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So let's say now you know you are suffering from certain kind of illness, whether it is mental or it is physical, you can recite at the beginning of your dua, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, and then the salawat to the Prophet, and then Ya Shafi, oh Allah, Ya Shafi, the healer, the most healer. You are the best healer, Ya Allah. I'm suffering now. I'm having this illness. I'm having this sickness. Nobody knows and nobody can understand me. Even if they know, they couldn't help me, Ya Allah. But I know you are the only one who understand me from the very beginning, from the top to the bottom, from Alif to Ya, from A to Z. You know the hidden one. And if you read the books, I provided some dalil that actually even our heart has layers, brothers and sisters. It has layers. It is not just the one that we have on the chest is sudur and then inside is the heart. No, even the heart is held. It has layers. Hadisun nafsi. When the term in Arabic term we call as the conversation of the heart. How can the heart make conversation? Because there is another deeper heart inside our heart, which we call it as the lubbul qalbi. Lub is the inner side, inner part of the heart, which can communicate with the other part, with the outer part of the heart. Subhanallah. And Malay we call it as lubuk hati. Why is it lubuk come from? So where does it come from? It's from the Arabic language, lubbul qalbi. So Ya Allah, you know what is in my heart. You know what is in the inner of my heart. And on the top of my heart and the bottom of my heart, you know everything, Ya Allah. You know how much I have tried my best to be patient, Ya Allah. But this is my limit. This is my limitation. I have arrived to this level, Ya Allah. And I cannot take it anymore, Ya Allah. Please listen to my dua. Please provide me with the strength, with the needed strength so that I can continue my struggle in this life as your servant, slave of Allah. As your slave, Ya Allah, I want to be the best Khalifa as how you have assigned me, Ya Allah. Please don't allow me to give up. Don't allow me to be in the situation of hopelessness. I have you. And you know I need you, Ya Allah. Listen to me, Ya Allah. Please help me, Ya Allah. So you can explain everything, brothers and sisters. There is no limitation of time for you to share with Allah SWT. There is no rules and regulations for you as long as you can preserve your adab, but there is nothing that you can keep as a secret from him. Even he know it without you reciting it, without you telling him, without you expressing it to him. But the moment you express to Allah SWT, that indicates your seriousness to find the solution. And there is a time where Allah SWT will provide his help to you, because Allah SWT will never leave us without his help. So brothers and sisters, let's rely to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this is the best reliance, and there is nothing that can satisfy our hearts and our minds, our mental, except what comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I hope I have answered that question, although I know again it is not comprehensive, but may Allah provide us with the comprehensive answers, goes directly to your heart, goes directly into your mind. So all of us, inshallah, after this session, will sleep well, we'll all happy, inshallah, and we all will be in the best state of mental health, inshallah. Thank you very much. I return the microphone to the moderator.
Thank you so much, Doctor and Madam. May we have opportunity to cooperate with you again. So if there is no more question, I think we got very good knowledge, such as now we know that how we want to define either someone have a mental health problem or any mental illnesses. We how he or she think, feel, and act. So just take a look to your roommate or friends. If they have problems, ask them, and then be a good listener. Or if she said who the one who asked in the FB, she has not that she not trust anyone or any even Allah. So just give them keep give them spirit, like yes, you can do it. We can be a positive positive friends or anything, so that she or he know that, oh, I have someone who support me or anything. And also listen that Allah always with us, and also don't like what Allah said in Quran, like ta'asu min rahmatillah, like Dr. Rauda said. So just share to Allah any problems that you have, or don't be hopelessness, and don't depress. I think don't be stressed. And if you have an abnormal things or thought, just find someone to tell your problems. I think inshallah there is someone who wants to support you, inshallah, as everyone is now more alert about mental health or mental health issues right now. Okay, so thank you. I would like to thank you again, Dr. and Madam. May we have opportunity again to cooperate with you in another occasion, inshallah. So I would like to remind all the attendees to fill in the form link given in the chat box for staff point purpose. Thank you. So Alhamdulillah, finally we come to the end of this event. As a saying goes, to every beginning there is an ending. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your coming and your nice attention. We truly appreciate it. Before we disperse, let us take a photo together. So open your camera and give your prettiest smile. So I would like to invite Sister Amira to capture the pictures. Give your prettiest smiles. Betul-betulkan tudung dulu, songkok ke. Okay.
Okay, everyone. Thank you, Sister Khadijah. So, as for the background or the backdrop, you may use the one that we have sent in the WhatsApp group. So, everyone ready? Okay. Okay. Okay, let's start, okay? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, second one. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, last one, freestyle. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's it. Thank you, everyone. That's it for photography session.
Okay, on behalf of the organizing committees, I would like to apologize if we have done any mistakes throughout the event. We thank again our respected speakers and the audience for making this program successful with the grace of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. I hereby end my duty as moderator for tonight's event with Wabillahi Taufiq wal Hidayah. And I would like to remind all of attendees again to fill in the form link given in the chat box for staff on purpose. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Salam, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.